Marvel is packed with superhumans, but only a handful got their powers in the most terrifying way possible, by rewriting their DNA with animals. From Spider-Man's radioactive spider bite to Kraven's lion-infused transformation, why do some of these mutations create heroes, while others turn people into absolute monsters? And which mutation is secretly the most dangerous one of all? Spider bite mutation, Peter Parker. The radioactive spider that rewrote Peter Parker's DNA. Everyone remembers the bite, but what most people don't realize is just how close Peter came to dying in those first minutes. His body wasn't designed to merge with another species, and especially not one mutated by unstable radiation. The venom didn't just poison him, it attempted to overwrite him, cell by cell. At first, his system reacted like any ordinary human would. Fever, convulsions, a near-complete shutdown of normal immune responses. But this is where things took a darker turn. Instead of breaking down the foreign DNA, Peter's cells began to accept it, integrate it, and replicate it. His body treated the spider's genetics as an upgrade package. Within hours, the spider's traits weren't just present, they were dominant. Peter's skeletal structure started reinforcing itself. Muscles condensed into tougher fibers, and dormant neural pathways lit up, giving him a spider's reaction. And then came the most important and most dangerous mutation of them all, the spider sense. A literal sixth sense for immediate danger, something no animal, including spiders, actually possesses. It was the radiation's unpredictable spin on spider neurology, grafted onto Peter's brain. The spider DNA never fully stabilized. It sleeps, adapts, wakes, and evolves across different storylines, meaning Peter isn't just a human with powers. He's a living experiment in progress. Eel bite mutation, Max Dillon. Max Dillon never meant to become a living lightning rod. His mutation started with genetically engineered electric eel DNA, mixed with unstable bioelectric research designed to push cellular energy production past anything found in nature. But the experiment went wrong in the most catastrophic way possible. When Max fell into that tank of modified electric eels, the shock wasn't just electricity passing through his body, it was thousands of microscopic DNA packets, engineered to deliver electrogenic traits directly into his cells. The eels weren't normal, they were designed for maximum output, their electric organs hypercharged beyond natural limits. And Max's system absorbed everything. The first thing that happened to him was cellular rupture, his cells literally bursting under the overload. But instead of dying, Max's body rebooted itself using the eel DNA as a template. But the real horror of Electro's mutation isn't the power, it's the instability. His new physiology constantly tears itself apart. Every electrical discharge strips electrons from his atoms. He's shedding his own physical form every time he fires a bolt. And unlike Peter Parker, whose mutation preserved his humanity, Max loses himself almost instantly. The eel DNA doesn't just alter his cells, it alters his emotions. Electric eels communicate through pulses and aggression. Max becomes touch-starved, paranoid, and overstimulated because his brain can no longer regulate impulses meant for a human mind. He feels every current in a room. He hears every power line like a scream. The world becomes too loud, too bright, too hostile. And even more so, it changes his appearance as he loses what it means to look human, although in Spider-Man No Way Home he does change his appearance back to look more human, which was Jamie Foxx's choice behind the scenes as he didn't want to be blue anymore. Lizard DNA injection, Dr. Curt Connors. If there's one mutation in Marvel that proves cross-species genetics can destroy a man from the inside out, it's Dr. Curt Connors. A decorated surgeon and brilliant geneticist, Connors lost his right arm in combat. His entire life's work became an obsession with reptilian regeneration, understanding how certain lizards can shed and fully regrow limbs. His idea was revolutionary and catastrophically flawed. Connors developed a serum built on lizard DNA, specifically the genetic markers responsible for near-instant tissue regeneration. In theory, the serum would activate dormant regenerative pathways in human cells, restoring lost limbs. But the core problem was simple. Lizard DNA doesn't regrow human tissue. It replaces it, slowly, silently, permanently. The moment Connors injected himself, his cells entered a state of biological panic. Human tissue began dissolving while reptilian cells rapidly multiplied to fill the gaps. His new arm didn't just regrow, but it slowly transformed. The reptile DNA didn't stop at the arm. It spread through his bloodstream, rewriting his physiology like a virus with a purpose. Within hours, Connors' skin thickened into scales, his bones reshaped into denser, more primitive structures. His eyes morphed into cold, slit-like predator's lenses, built for darkness and survival. His brain, perhaps the most tragic part, began to change too. And just like that, the brilliant Dr. Kurt Connors began to vanish. This mutation wasn't just physical, it was psychological extermination. As the lizard, Connors embodies pure instinct, territorial, cold-blooded, and ferociously primal. The human side becomes a prisoner in his own body, surfacing only in brief windows of clarity. Connors isn't a villain by choice. His mutation is a biological coup, a hostile takeover of a man who just wanted to heal. Bat DNA mutation, Dr. Michael Morbius. Of all the cross-species mutations in Marvel, none walk the line between miracle and horror like Dr. Michael Morbius. He suffered from a rare, fatal blood disorder, one that weakened him to the point where his bones were fragile, his muscles deteriorated, and his lifespan was measured in months, not years. The cure he pursued wasn't driven by ego or ambition. It was desperation. And desperation breeds risk. Morbius turned to a controversial idea. Splice human DNA with that of the Costa Rican vampire bat, an animal capable of processing blood in ways no human body could. These bats produce unique anticoagulants and cellular enzymes that let them thrive on a diet that would kill any other species. For Morbius, this was the key. If he could replicate their biological mechanisms, he could stabilize his broken blood cells.
So your theory is you can successfully splice vampire genes into your DNA. It would allow your body to produce those same anticoagulants.
Yes.
Maybe even reverse his disorder entirely. The serum worked, but in the worst way imaginable. Within seconds of the injection, Morbius's blood chemistry flipped. The bat DNA didn't integrate slowly. It detonated through his system. His skeletal structure strengthened and hollowed, becoming lighter but unnervingly durable. His muscles tightened into predatory coils. His senses exploded into clarity. He could hear heartbeats through walls, smell fear, track prey across a room without looking. His nervous system rewired itself for echolocation, granting him the signature vampire sonar that defines his mutation. But along with the physical upgrades came something darker: hunger. A biological imperative coded into the very DNA he infused into himself. Vampire bats rely entirely on blood, and Morbius's mutated cells inherited that need with ruthless precision. His body burned calories at a monstrous rate, forcing him into constant consumption. Not food, not supplements, blood. And it didn't stop there. His skin paled as pigmentation collapsed. His facial structure warped, cheekbones sharpened, jaw extended, canines lengthened into natural weapons. His eyes blackened, evolving into night-optimized organs engineered for hunting. Morbius didn't become superhuman. He became a predator. His mutation didn't give him a cure. It gave him a choice: live as a monster or die as a man. Venom symbiotic genetic merge, Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock didn't merge with an animal. He merged with a living alien organism that rewrites genetics on the fly. And that's what makes the Venom mutation the most unpredictable, dangerous, and emotionally volatile case in the entire mutation catalog. The Clintar symbiote is not just a parasite. It's a living bioweapon engineered to bond, overwrite, and enhance its host at a cellular level. When it chose Eddie, the process was immediate and violent. The symbiote didn't simply wrap around him. It infiltrated him, sinking microscopic tendrils into his nervous system, bloodstream, and even his memories. Within seconds, Eddie wasn't alone in his own head anymore. He had a passenger, one that could speak, feel, and influence his emotions.
Everything about you, I am inside your head.
The mutation begins with strength. Venom amplifies Eddie's muscles past superhuman levels, granting him raw, brutal power far beyond anything a human body should withstand. His tendons, bones, and ligaments adapt to stress loads that would pulverize ordinary humans. Then comes the enhanced durability, a regenerative armor coating his cells, repairing damage almost instantly. Bullets don't just bounce off Venom, the suit heals around the wound before it fully forms. But the most terrifying upgrade isn't physical, it's neurological. The symbiote syncs with Eddie's brain, tapping into his anger, fear, and trauma. It feeds off his emotions, and in return amplifies them. Eddie's resentment becomes rage, his insecurity becomes obsession, his desire for justice mutates into vengeance. And then there's the hunger. Just like Morbius and his blood dependency, Venom develops its own biological cravings. It needs adrenaline, phenethylamine, and neurochemical spikes, all things found in abundance during combat. This turns Eddie into a magnet for conflict. The more he fights, the stronger Venom gets. The stronger Venom gets, the more it pushes Eddie to fight. A perfect, vicious cycle. Yet despite the chaos, there's a tragic truth at the heart of their mutation. The symbiote genuinely cares for Eddie. It bonds emotionally as well as physically. Their connection becomes a twisted form of partnership, half friendship, half addiction, half survival mechanism. Lion DNA mutation, Sergei Kravinov. Kraven the Hunter is the only cross-species mutation in Marvel that begins not in a lab, but in the wild. Long before he became a superhuman predator, Sergei Kravinov was simply a boy hunting with his father and brother. Their family lived by a brutal code: strength above all, weakness unacceptable. And on that day, in the African savannah, Sergei learned that nature doesn't care about anyone's code. During the hunt, a lion approached Sergei's and Dmitri, slowly circling them until the lion paused in a moment that looked like it didn't want to engage in combat. Then, in the distance, Sergei's father shot a lion. But wounded predators don't flee, they fight. And with a roar that split the air, the enraged lion lunged, not at the father who shot it, but at Sergei, the easiest target. It slammed him into the dirt, claws sinking deep, dragging him away from his family. Sergei was helpless, bleeding, and fading fast. And then something happened that no one could explain. As the lion pinned him down, its blood, hot, thick, and pumping from the bullet wound, poured over Sergei's injuries, into his bloodstream. The lion then brings him to a girl named Calypso, who heals him with a serum and calls for rescue, leaving a tarot card behind. Sergei's body did something impossible. Instead of rejecting the foreign DNA, it began reacting to it. The lion's strength, its instincts, its rage, they didn't just enter Sergei's body. They awakened inside it. He survived the attack, but he wasn't the same. His senses sharpened unnaturally. His reflexes were faster. His aggression spiked. He could feel things, smell things, perceive things no human should. Something inside him had changed, but the transformation wasn't complete. Not yet. The potion accelerated the dormant lion DNA already woven into his bloodstream, fusing it with his cells, amplifying everything the animal represented: power, speed, senses, and an unbreakable predatory instinct. Sergei didn't just gain lion traits, he became a living embodiment of the apex predator that almost killed him. Rhino mutations, Alexei Sytsevich. Rhino is one of Marvel's most misunderstood mutations, partly because his origin changes depending on the universe. But whether he becomes a hulking monster through metal or biology, the outcome is the same. Alexei Sytsevich is a man transformed into a living blunt force weapon. TASM universe, the mechanical fusion. In the ASM2 universe, Alexei isn't born a monster. He's engineered into one. Originally a violent, incompetent criminal, Alexei was recruited by a shadowy organization seeking to weaponize cross-species enhancements.
Alexei Sytsevich, currently serving a life sentence. He is most eager to join us.
Instead of infusing him with DNA, they built something far more terrifying: a mechanized Rhino exosuit fused directly to his body. The suit wasn't armor, it was a cage. Steel plates were grafted into Alexei's skin. Hydraulic pistons were linked to his spine. The cockpit was integrated so deeply that removing it would kill him. The exosuit magnified his already dangerous personality, giving him the force of a charging rhino with the destructive power of heavy artillery. Every step became a quake. Every charge was a missile. This version of Rhino isn't a mutation of DNA, it's a mutation of identity. A man losing the last pieces of himself to metal, rage, and the thrill of unrestrained violence. Marvel Cinematic Universe, the biological Rhino mutation. In the Marvel Universe, the alternate version takes a more primal, horrific approach. Here, Alexei undergoes an animal-based genetic transformation, mirroring the same ritualistic, cross-species enhancements found in Kraven's world. Alexei receives a serum derived from Rhino DNA, delivered through a violent, uncontrolled process that completely rewrites his physiology. The reasoning is, he no longer wants to be weak, as he has spent most of his life in and out of the hospital, with doctors never truly understanding what his condition was. But he longed for Nikolai Kravinov respect within the crime world, so he found a biochemist professor in New York called Miles Warren, who was developing a serum that would increase strength and, well...
I found someone in New York, a biochemist,
A Professor Miles Warren.
His skin thickens into armor-like plates. His muscles swell beyond human limits. Bone density multiplies until it becomes almost impossible to injure. His face elongates, forming the beginnings of a rhino-like snout, and his entire posture shifts from human to beast. What is interesting is that to stay in his human state, Alexei must be pumped with medication 24/7. While one Rhino is a man trapped in a machine, the other is a man trapped inside a monster. Jellyfish, starfish, lizard, and monkey mutation. David Banner. Long before Bruce Banner ever stepped into a gamma lab, his father had already rewritten their family's DNA in ways that defy science, ethics, and common sense. David wasn't trying to cure a disease or save a life. He was trying to push evolution forward, forcibly. His method? Take the strongest traits from multiple species, splice them into his own genome, and create a human being capable of surviving anything. But David didn't only test his serum on animals, he tested it on himself. David introduces 4 different species into his own body. Jellyfish DNA, granting cellular flexibility and the potential for near-limitless regeneration. Starfish DNA, known for regrowing entire limbs, even major organs. Lizard DNA, rapid tissue regeneration and biological adaptability. Monkey DNA, enhanced strength, motor function, and neurological complexity. Each strain alone would be catastrophic. Together, they were a ticking genetic bomb. The serum didn't simply merge with David's DNA, it hid inside his genetic code, waiting for a trigger strong enough to activate the unstable cocktail. That trigger came years later, when David passed the modified DNA to his unborn son, Bruce. But the mutation inside David didn't stay dormant. As he grew older, the strains began fighting for dominance. His cells no longer behaved like human cells. They behaved like whatever species had the advantage at that moment. His biology became chaotic. His mind fractured. His control slipped. When David finally exposes himself to gamma radiation, everything explodes at once. Gamma doesn't mutate him. It unlocks him. The jellyfish's flexibility takes over his skin, the starfish's regeneration takes control of his organs, the lizard's adaptability pushes him into continuous transformation, and the monkey's DNA fuels unpredictable bursts of strength and aggression. This violent combination creates something Marvel had never seen before. A man who can absorb anything he touches. Energy, matter, even Bruce's gamma. His body becomes fluid, unstable, shifting between states like a living storm. Bull mutation. Bullman. The mutation of William Torrens into Man-Bull isn't born of nobility or desperation. It springs from greed, error, and the dark underbelly of human ambition. Torrens was a criminal who kidnapped people for laboratory experiments as part of a twisted enterprise. When he was finally punished for his crimes, he himself became the test subject. The scientists injected him with bovine-derived genetic material and chemical enhancers meant to replicate the raw power of a bull. Rather than being carefully calibrated, the serum was crude and uncontrolled. Torrens' cells responded by rewriting themselves. Muscle fibers erupted in size, bones ossified into near-impervious plating, and his metabolism shifted into overdrive. In the aftermath, Man-Bull wandered between roles: villain, giant, monster, tool. He joined the group known as Abamaste. He clashed with heroes like Jennifer Walters, he said sorry about a car, but he never really came back. Chameleon mutation, Dmitry Smerdyakov. Growing up in the shadow of his half-brother Kraven the Hunter, Dmitry Smerdyakov always felt invisible. He was the illegitimate son of Nikolai Kravinov, raised alongside Sergei Kravinov in a turbulent household of abuse and expectation. In his early years, Dmitry developed a strange skill: mimicking voices. Not heroes, not villains, but people he knew. His father, his brother, even famous singers. It became his defense mechanism. To survive, he changed himself. To survive, he became a chameleon. He discovered that his brother Sergei had become the legendary hunter, and the crimes and mutations surrounding them pulled him deeper into darkness. Then came the scientific turning point. A procedure by Dr. Miles Warren granted Dmitry true shape-shifting ability, changing appearance at will, even altering facial structure. The mutation was not about strength or speed, it was about erasure. Dmitry's body became a fluid canvas. His face would go blank, mannequin-like, the line of division down the center of his head the only clue that change was happening. His skin texture could alter, his bones subtly shift, his voice mutates with the software of his mind. He could step into someone else's identity and drive away in their shoes. The reptilian metaphor is perfect. Like a chameleon adapting to survive, Dmitry adapted to manipulate. But here lies the tragedy. Using reptilian or shape-shifting DNA didn't just give Dmitry power, it stripped him of self. Every appearance he wore blurred the line between Dmitry and the mimic. The more he changed, the less he remembered who he even was. His childhood voice mimicry mutated into true physical mimicry, and his brain, wired by trauma, began to lose authenticity. He didn't become the actor of his life. He became the role. Sabre-tooth mutation, Victor Creed. Born in the 1820s in what would become the Northwest Territories of Canada, he was labeled a mutant from the beginning, a child whose body and instincts never quite behaved like the others. Raised alongside his half-brother Wolverine, or known then as James Howlett, but more commonly Logan or Wolverine, Victor's early life was shaped by violence, war, and survival. As a mercenary through the American Civil War, WWI, WPU, and Vietnam, Victor's mutation matured. Strength, senses, healing, all sharpened until he became more predator than man. Victor's mutation didn't come from mixing animal DNA in a petri dish. It came from nature's own blueprint for predators, combined with decades of war and experimentation. His muscles littered with sinew and hypertrophied tissue, bones cracked and reformed under stress, claws retracted and unleashed like living blades. His senses became animal, smell traces through miles of air, hear faint heartbeats, track prey like a wildcat. His healing factor transformed him into a near immortal. Weaknesses faded, time slowed. Panther mutation, T'Challa. As the eldest son of King T'Chaka of Wakanda, T'Challa was groomed from birth to inherit both the mantle of the Black Panther and the throne of the most technologically advanced country on Earth. But his ascension would come through tragedy, crisis, and transformation. When a bomb detonated at the United Nations conference, killing his father, T'Challa's world changed forever. His grief turned into vengeance. He believed the finger pointed to Bucky Barnes and vowed justice. But in that mission, he discovered the chain of betrayal that led to Helmut Zemo, forcing T'Challa not only to face external enemies, but the internal conflict of revenge versus morality. Before he became the Black Panther, T'Challa ingested the sacred heart-shaped herb, a ritual of his nation bestowed by the Panther goddess Bast, granting enhanced strength, agility, endurance, and senses. The herb itself is no ordinary plant. Grown only in Wakanda's sacred garden, it is mutated by centuries of exposure to vibranium in the soil. That radiation does not poison, it empowers. When T'Challa drinks the potion made from the herb, the effect is immediate and overwhelming. His heart races, his veins ignite with energy, his senses widen like a floodgate opening, and then, in a single breath, his entire physiology adjusts. His body is enhanced to superhuman levels. His strength, speed, and reflexes increase dramatically, allowing him to strike harder, move faster, and react with panther-like precision. His senses sharpen to the point where he can see in darkness, track scents, and hear distant sounds. The herb also boosts his durability, stamina, and healing, making him far tougher than any normal human. Combined with his heightened instinct and spiritual connection to his ancestors, these abilities transform him into the Black Panther, Wakanda's ultimate warrior king.